Military deception is not simply hiding a tank or sending one false message. At its highest level, it means persuading an enemy command to make a costly decision for reasons that appear entirely. We are here to determine the GOAT of Allied military deception operations of the Second World War. The field is Allied military deception operations of the Second World War, rational from inside its own information system. The weapon is not the lie itself, it is the decision the lie produces. That gives us a demanding field. Allied military deception operations of the Second World War. We will judge them by 5 things: whether the story was credible, how many channels reinforced it, whether enemy behavior measurably changed, how long the effect survived, and how much the real operation benefited. A convincing deception had to survive observation. Aircraft photographed camps. Radio listeners mapped signals. Human agents reported rumors and movements. A false plan that worked in only one channel could be exposed by the others. So the best campaigns made separate pieces of evidence agree. The hardest part was consistency. A fictional army needed plausible commanders, headquarters, traffic patterns, supply activity, badges, vehicles, and a reason to exist where the enemy expected it. One careless message could puncture months of preparation. Deception was closer to maintaining an alternate reality than performing a stage trick. The Allies possessed one extraordinary advantage: feedback. By reading intercepted and decrypted German communications, planners could sometimes learn which false claims had been accepted, which had been doubted, and which needed reinforcement. The audience was secretly reviewing the performance while it was still running. That advantage did not make success automatic. Deception had to exploit beliefs the opponent already found plausible. A story that contradicted geography, logistics, or a commander's assumptions would demand too much faith. The strongest lies usually pointed towards something the enemy already feared. The stakes were severe. A successful campaign could hold divisions far from a battlefield, preserve surprise, and buy time for soldiers landing under fire. A failed one could reveal the real target. In North Africa and the Mediterranean, the Allies gradually learned how to make imaginary forces exert real pressure. Operation Cascade began from an awkward truth. British strength in the Middle East looked dangerously thin. Planners responded by expanding the apparent order of battle, meaning the enemy's estimate of what units existed and where they were stationed. Real formations acquired fictional neighbors, and paper strength became strategic pressure. The invented formations were supported with names, headquarters, administrative traces, and wireless activity. German analysts incorporated many of them into their own assessments. Saya proved that a force did not need to exist physically to shape the enemy's map of a theater. Once accepted, a phantom unit could remain useful in later stories. Saya's achievement was foundational rather than decisive in one dramatic moment. It distorted German estimates and gave later planners a library of believable formations. But the connection between a particular false unit and a particular enemy decision was often indirect. It created the grammar of deception more clearly than a single measurable sentence. Operation Bertram gave that grammar a precise battlefield purpose before the Second Battle of El Alamein. British forces needed to conceal where the main attack would fall and when it would begin. The desert offered little natural cover, so camouflage had to change what visible objects seemed to mean. Tanks near the real assault area were fitted with lightweight covers called sunshields, making them resemble ordinary trucks from the air. Elsewhere, trucks and other materials suggested armored concentrations that were not real. The deception did not make equipment vanish. It persuaded reconnaissance to classify it incorrectly. Inders also built false gun positions, dummy vehicles, supply areas, and a conspicuous pipeline advancing toward the wrong sector. Its deliberately slow construction implied that the attack was still days away. Place and time were disguised together, which made the story much stronger than a collection of isolated decoys. Bertram contributed to tactical surprise at El Alamein and remains a masterpiece of physical camouflage. Its limitation is scale. The effect was concentrated around one battlefield and a short operational window. Once the real attack began, the central illusion had completed its job. It was brilliant but deliberately temporary. Operation Barclay worked on a larger canvas. The real objective was Sicily, but the deception threatened southern France, Greece, Crete, and the Balkans. It exploited a fear already present in German planning, that the Allies might enter Europe through the southeastern approaches, rather than strike the obvious island target. The Allies created a fictitious 12th Army, with 12 imaginary divisions. Furs radio traffic, dummy camps, recruited Greek interpreters, and the collection of regional maps and currencies made preparations appear routine rather than theatrical. Each detail answered a question an enemy analyst might reasonably ask. A supporting operation added an almost absurdly tangible clue. A body dressed as a military courier was released off Spain, carrying documents that pointed toward Greece. Spanish authorities allowed copies to reach Germany. Decrypted German messages, known collectively as ultra-intelligence, showed that senior leaders accepted the planted material. Barclay helped secure surprise in Sicily. German ground strength in the Balkans rose from 8 divisions to 18, and the German High Command greatly overestimated Allied strength in the eastern Mediterranean. Its result was broad, durable, and measurable, yet much of its strongest evidence was planted, and then observed, rather than continuously adjusted through a fully integrated feedback system. Operation Fortitude, South, is the GOAT of Allied military deception campaigns in the Second World War. It did not merely hide the Normandy invasion. It persuaded the German command that the landings there were a diversion. German planners still expected the decisive assault. They believed it would cross the narrow channel toward the Pas de Calais. The target belief was unusually strong because Pas de Calais made military sense. It offered the shortest sea crossing, routes toward major ports in the industrial Ruhr, and a direct threat to German rocket sites. German commanders already considered it the logical invasion area. The deception began by agreeing with them. The real invasion force assembling for Normandy was immense and difficult to conceal. Fortitude South therefore offered Germany an explanation for what it could observe. Those preparations were only part of a wider plan, while a larger force waited in southeastern England for the supposedly decisive blow. The truth was made to look incomplete. At the center of the fiction stood the 1st United States Army Group, presented as a powerful formation commanded by General George Patton. German leaders regarded Patton as aggressive and highly capable, exactly the sort of commander they expected to lead the main assault. His reputation became evidence for an army that did not exist. Physical deception supplied the scenery. Dummy tanks, false aircraft, invented supply sites, unit insignia, and roads leading toward concealed storage areas created signs that aerial reconnaissance might notice. The aim was not a perfect film set. It was enough plausible evidence, seen from the enemy's limited viewpoint, to confirm an existing expectation. Harbors in southeastern England held landing craft made from wood and canvas. At night, moving lights could suggest aircraft activity. These objects were fragile, but their military effect did not depend on durability. They only had to survive long enough in a photograph, report, or distant observation to become another supporting fact. Radio operators generated traffic for fictional headquarters and units. German listeners could locate the signals in southeastern England and reconstruct the outline of the phantom force. The messages had to resemble ordinary military administration, because convincing deception is often built from boredom, schedules, logistics, and routine communications rather than dramatic secrets. The human channel was even more valuable. British counterintelligence had captured, turned, or removed German agents operating in Britain. Reports that appeared to come from the German intelligence network could therefore be supervised, timed, and compared with the physical and radio story instead of contradicting it. One controlled source, codenamed Garbo, appeared to manage a network of sub-agents that was itself largely invented. The system mixed harmless truths, plausible delays, and carefully chosen falsehoods. Reliability was accumulated slowly. When the crucial claim arrived, it came from a source the Germans believed had earned their trust. Meanwhile, Allied codebreakers read German reactions through ultra-intelligence. They learned that enemy leaders still expected the main blow at Pas de Calais. That feedback mattered enormously. Planners were not throwing lies into darkness. They could reinforce accepted details, avoid weak ones, and watch the false picture settle into German decisions. This made Fortitude South self-correcting. Physical decoys supported radio traffic. Radio traffic supported agent reports. ETS reports exploited German assumptions. Decrypted replies then revealed how the whole structure was being interpreted. No single trick carried the operation. Its strength came from independent channels, appearing to confirm one another. The landings in Normandy on the 6th of June did not end the deception. The story changed. Normandy was the preliminary attack, while the Great Assault remained pending. That continuation was crucial. A deception that expires when battle begins may gain surprise. One that survives the battle can delay the enemy's response. The effect was visible in German dispositions. The 15th Army remained in the Pas-de-Calais region until the 25th of July. British security records also describe 2 armored divisions and 19 infantry divisions being kept away from Normandy through July and August. Those formations were real. The threat holding them was not. Fortitude South was not magic, and its contribution should not swallow the rest of the campaign. Germany was overextended. Allied air and naval superiority constrained movement, and command arrangements were slow and divided. Barclay also shifted large forces through an exceptionally elegant story. Deception worked because it exploited weakness. It did not create every weakness. What separates the winner is the complete chain from belief to evidence, from evidence to intercepted reaction, and from reaction to adjustment. Operation Fortitude South made an enemy command continue preparing for the wrong future after the real invasion had already begun. That is why its GOAT status matters. It shows that the finest deception does not conceal reality. It gives reality the wrong meaning.